This is a Bay Scallop. You can find them for sale at pretty much any major grocery store for like $8 a pound. But the ones that you're looking at here are not the same scallops, and they can be sold at the grocery store for as high as $50 a pound. Not to mention you can see them on the menu of some gourmet restaurants throughout Boston. But why is the price difference so extreme, and is it worth it to spend the extra money on scallops? To answer this question, we're gonna have to follow the life of a commercial fisherman in a place called Martha's Vineyard.
Good morning, it is a beautiful day in Martha's Vineyard. You can see the sun is just coming up here.
For those of you who don't know where Martha's Vineyard is, it's an island off the coast of Massachusetts. During the summer months, Martha's Vineyard is a very popular tourist destination with many affluent travelers that come from around the world. But during the winter months, when the tourism kind of shuts down, the island's a lot quieter. That is, except for the vibrant Bay Scallop industry. Gus and Jack here are residents on Martha's Vineyard, and winter Bay Scalloping is their full-time job.
I've been fishing with Gus for a couple of years. I lived in about every town in the island. Housing is tough out here. I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. It's either this or drive a truck to Boston, so go to the seaport. I'm all set with that.
Gus starts the day by putting out these small dredges. Once all the dredges are out, Gus starts pulling them through relatively shallow water for about 10 minutes.
I didn't grow up in a family of scalloping like a lot of the island kids did. Just was into fishing and seemed like something to do in the wintertime.
And how long have you been doing it now?
20 plus years, I would say.
So you're not bad at it?
Not great at it, but I can get the job done.
After pulling the dredges around, Gus fires up the winch, which he uses to bring in the dredges one by one. The winch mechanically pulls in the dredge, so Gus doesn't have to do it by hand. But according to Gus, there are still old school guys on the island that manually bring in every single one of their dredges. Once the dredge gets to the side of the boat, Gus gives it a couple dunks to get off any nasty mud and sand, and together, him and Jack empty the contents of the dredge onto the culling table. Once the contents of the dredge are emptied, now comes the arduous task of culling. And as you can see, the vast majority of the dredge are just weeds, but buried deep in those weeds are Bay Scallops.
Scallops.
Jack and Gus quickly separate everything that's weed from everything that's not weed. Then once all the weeds are gone, they separate juvenile scallops from adult scallops.
There's a seed, so it's a nice sized seed. It's a juvenile scallop, but it'll be an adult next year. You know, 3 different sizes there. You know, seed, adult.
But separating seeds from adults isn't as easy as just looking at the size of them, as I found out the hard way when Gus went through my basket and found that I put a bunch of seeds in there.
That seed.
According to Gus, size can be a bit misleading because there are big seeds.
That's seed.
Got it.
And there are little adults.
See that little one right there? Small. See the now
Oh,
there's
it's an
a
adult.
distinct growth line.
Yeah,
See
I
how
see
it's one is smaller than the other?
Yeah.
The thing you should look for is the growth ridge. Gus says that scallops have a 2-year life cycle, and in that second year when they're growing in size, you'll see a distinct ridge which comes from that second year of growth. At first it drove me a little crazy because the more I looked at them, the more I started imagining lines that were not there.
I mean, you don't want to think too far into it because it'll think you look great.
Well, I guarantee you I've made a couple mistakes already.
I'm looking at what's in your basket here, and I'm not seeing anything that's I'm not seeing any seed in there at all.
And I'd like to think towards the end of the day, I kind of got the hang of it.
How'd I do?
That's a seed right there.
Okay, maybe not, but Jack and Gus are absolute pros and can go through 3 dredges worth of scallops pretty dang quick. But here's the million-dollar question. Is dredging bad for the environment? One of the most common things people are typically concerned about with dredging is bycatch. And while this is an issue with larger scale dredging operations, here on Gus's boat, there really isn't any. In our entire day of scalloping, we probably caught only 5 living things that were not scallops. A sea bass, some crabs, and a winter flounder. All of them were released back into the ocean alive. So is Bay Scallop dredging terrible for the environment because of all the bycatch that it kills? At least here it's not relevant. But Gus and Jack face a different issue.
They're straight trash out of the supermarket, and they're not local. They're Many of them are farm raised, many of them aren't scallops.
We've talked about this before, but the crazy thing about the seafood industry in the United States is that over 70% of the seafood is imported from another country, which may not make that much of a difference when you're talking about automobiles or manufacturing, but all seafood has a shelf life, which begins the moment it leaves the water. Meaning by the time it hits the glass at your favorite grocery store, it could be weeks old, which is why you've probably been told your entire life that seafood's only good for a day or two in your fridge.
People go to the grocery store and they don't realize that the fish that they're buying was imported from 1,000 miles away. It was caught 2 weeks ago when it was frozen and then thawed.
That's how they should be.
Right out of the, oh, look at that.
Have you ever had one right out of the shell?
I don't think I've had one right out of the shelf. Look at that. Sand's still on it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is probably one of the most incredible pieces of seafood I've ever put in my mouth.
But in just a little bit, we're gonna buy some scallops from the grocery store, and we're gonna see how they taste. And spoiler alert, it did not go very well.
Dude, this aftertaste.
Insult. Hard-working fishermen.
If you're interested in buying Gus's Bay Scallops, you can find us on the weekends at various farm stands across the state. We typically sell every Saturday, and it's also a great opportunity for us to meet you guys.
We got Brody here. Brody, where are you from?
From Holliston, Massachusetts.
Holliston. No way, that's cool.
Thank you very much.
Hey, you can stick around, dude. It's a cool area.
If you guys want to know what and when we're selling next, text FISH to the number on the screen or visit tackleotherpeople.com for weekly updates. After the adult scallops are rinsed off in the milk crate, they're transferred into bushel baskets. And Jack here is making sure that every empty crevice is filled with a scallop.
Gotta pack them.
The reason for this is because Jack and Gus are given daily limits of the amount of scallops they can take home. And that limit is measured by how many bushel baskets they can keep. So the more scallops you can fit into a bushel basket, the more scallops you can sell and the more money you can make. But the work is still far from over. After scalloping, the next stop is the town warden, who inspects the day's catch to make sure everything's legal.
I got a friend just doing a little documentary on local Bay Scallops. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We then had to prepare for the final step, and according to
Now
Jack,
the real work happens.
Opening?
Yeah.
Pain in the
Hey, fun.
so we carefully started transferring the scallops from the boat onto Gus's truck, being super careful to not drop a single scallop into the water by accident.
Yeah. Ready? 1, 2. Slide that down.
Now that all the scallops were loaded, it was time to head back to Gus's cutting shack to open them. And we had a friend there waiting for us.
But I don't take Jack, I take Cooper here. Oh, and he sits on the bow of my boat. And he tells me where the scallops are, I can smell them.
Is that right?
All these scallops in the shell had to now be cleaned. There is a market for live scallops, but for the most part, these are all sold as scallop meats. So it requires a skilled team of shuckers who can very quickly open all of these scallops without damaging any of the meat. And it's a lot harder than it looks. The scallops are dumped onto the cutting table, one basket at a time. And then Gus's team gets to work.
Flip. Get rid of the guts. Take the meat.
You're pretty good at this, huh?
Yeah, but I nicked that one. See that? It's not good. Get a demerit for that.
Gus might make this look incredibly easy, but it definitely takes some practice to get good. And it's not just learning how to cut the scallop right, you also gotta do it fast. Because professional shuckers like Steve here are paid per pound of scallops that they clean, not by the hour. So the more you clean, the more you make. And there were a lot of scallops to be cleaned.
Time for a new basket. Maybe Santa will bring me one.
I got one in order, but it's gonna take a minute to get in.
Did you ordered another one?
I ordered a basket. I don't have one.
Oh, I thought you had one.
At long last, after an entire day's worth of manual labor, Gus's team is done for the day. And the scallops are trucked over to Boston, where they're put in the hands of the incredible chefs that we work with, who buy seafood directly from fishermen. But before we see what a gourmet chef can do with the scallops, we had to buy some cheap $8 scallops from the grocery store to see if the price tag actually makes a difference or not. We bought sea scallops and bay scallops from the grocery store, and I'm going to cook them, and we're gonna see how they taste. I've never actually purchased a scallop from a grocery store and cooked it myself. And Matt here is gonna kind of be our guinea pig. We did not talk about it. All right, guys, so we have our scallops here. We're gonna cook them super simple. We're just gonna salt them, and we're gonna sear them with some really hot heat on a hot pan, and then we're gonna finish with some butter. We're just gonna baste it. These don't have like a nasty fishy smell. It smells like something else.
It smells like, yeah, not the ocean. I don't know what it is, but it's not the ocean.
Crazy thing about scallops is that they're typically soaked in something called tripoly. The actual food additive is called sodium tripolyphosphate, a kind of a detergent they add to the scallops. As scallops get older, they start to break down, and they also lose volume. They like kind of shrivel up a little bit. Soaking them in a tripoly solution promotes them to absorb water weight. So you're actually paying for water. So unless scallops are explicitly labeled as dry, you can assume that they've been soaked in a solution. And when you cook them, supposedly all the liquid comes out. Like I said, I've never purchased scallops from a grocery store before. I don't even think I've ever even ordered them at a restaurant. Supposedly, wet scallops soaked in tripoly can soak up to 30% of their weight in water, which all comes out when you cook them. But let's see if this is actually true. Look how small they are. They shrunk so much. Look at how small they are. They lost all that water weight. Yeah, I mean, this is what it looks like. They definitely cook very differently.
Crumpled in my mouth. I think the best part about that was the butter. Yeah, but like there's no scallop flavor. I'm looking for that Bay Scallop distinct sweetness, and it wasn't there.
All right. Hang on, hold the phone. It smells weird, man. Doesn't smell like a seafood scallop. It's supposed to smell like. Oh yeah, that's unsettling. Oh, that's unsettling. Oh. Okay. Texturally, it's very unpleasant. It falls apart. The crust on the outside is there from the sear, but after you make it past the crust, the inside like kind of disintegrates. It almost has the texture of like chicken cartilage. You know when you're like eating chicken wings and like you get to like that cartilage section where on the flat where like the two bones join? That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're eating chicken cartilage. Flavor wise, it kind of tastes like I'm eating like just unidentified matter. It's like buttered matter. That's the only way I can describe it. Yeah, if I were to rate this out of 10, 10 being I would eat this as often as I could, 1 being I don't ever want to put that in my mouth ever again. It's definitely a 1. Just try these on camera.
Matt, did you already do your reaction?
Yeah, he did. These are the scallops that we got from Gus the other day.
Okay, they look great.
Yeah, just try them. I just seared them with some butter.
They're so good.
Really?
Well, they taste really different, I'm gonna be honest. They taste really different.
What like can you have different how?
I think you cook them a lot longer than usual.
I did?
It's a lot fishier. Like salty. I don't know, what's different about them? Are they old?
No, these are from they're $7.99.
Oh, yeah, they're not as good. Sorry. I think I got nervous because it was on camera.
They're so good.
You don't want to eat any more?
I'm all done.
You're all done?
Yeah, I'm all set, thank you.
What's wrong?
Dude, this aftertaste, I can't get it out.
Kind of bitter.
What do they taste like?
Legos. It's like rubbery, bitter, a little bitter. Not good.
Those are from the supermarket, $7.99.
I would have paid 4.
Tripoly is literally a detergent, so some people say it's bitter, some people say that it tastes like soap. But that's what you were tasting.
It's like when you're taking a shower and then
the shampoo gets in your mouth, and it's like what they marinated the scallops in.
Okay, so everyone agrees that the grocery store Bay Scallops are pretty terrible, but how are Gus's Martha's Vineyard Bay Scallops? There's only one way to find out. The first giveaway that this was a completely different product is that Gus's scallops actually seared properly. I had the pan at the exact same heat, but the grocery store scallops, I imagine because they were losing so much water as they were cooking, just were not able to get this color. Also notice how they stayed exactly the same size. Contrast that with the grocery store scallops. We actually weighed the sea scallops before and after cooking and found that it lost 25% of its weight.
Oh,
What the
hang
heck?
on. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Tear.
Wow. 7 ounces gone.
7 grams.
Grams.
So 7 out of 28. That's 20. That's
1/4.
That's 25%.
But let's see what a vineyard scallop tastes like.
You can like tell. I feel like. It's really, I feel like I noticed the texture the most. It was really light and plump.
All right. Definitely notice a sweeter taste to it. Texture's different. Doesn't taste like dehydrated rubber. It's juicier too. Less fishy.
It smells different. That's the first thing I noticed. It smells like real food. It smells like a product that came out like this was an alive thing. Texturally, it's totally different experience. You bite it and you get a bounce back. These ones, you bit into it, just like crumple. It feels like real food. Flavor-wise, super sweet. That's like the first thing. Second thing, it's a very clean flavor. You taste one flavor. You taste just this nice, clean, sweet scallop flavor. There's nothing acrid, nothing bitter, nothing you taste that feels like it shouldn't be there.
It was clear which was the superior scallop, but what can a gourmet chef at a nice restaurant in Boston do with it?
Medicine. I work at the banks. I'm an executive chef here. Opened this restaurant with Chef Rover in 2021, just in the pandemic time, the craziest time. It's been 4 years here in the Back Bay area. It's been exciting. We have a seafood and steak. So one of the things that we do here for the seafood, as local as possible, right? So we like to use the scallop from Martha's Vineyard right now that we have in season. We like to use our bluefin tuna that is right here, like most of the time it's caught in the coast of New England. Like freshness is one of the stuff, one of the things that we like to use at the banks. My nationality is from Peru, so we have like Peruvian, but I also like grew up in Spain. My family is half from Spain, so it's just the Spanish influences, and then living here in New England and have all this seafood like fresh and local. The Bay Scallops crudo, marinate with lime juice, salt, pepper, broad orange, olive oil, marinate with Aleppo pepper, some pomelo, which is a hybrid in between grapefruit, sweet but also tart at the same time. The peels, we like hand it and put it on top. We're using crispy rice, and we just finish with some microflowers, and that's pretty much it. So this year is gonna try to do something special. We are doing a live band upstairs with live music, which is gonna be cool. Now we put it on the Bay Scallops crudo. We're gonna have a prefix menu. It's sweet and tart and crispy. It's just like all the components right there. It's very good.
We try to get a little bit of everything here.
Yeah.
Right there. Very different than scallops that I've had previously. I'd say scallop is definitely like, I feel like it's a more traditional seafood. So you'll see it in restaurants and prepared in a more traditional way. This is definitely seems like a very modern take, and it's very good. It's excellent.
By the time you guys see this video, it will be New Year's Eve, and the Banks Seafood and Steak will be bustling with people. If you don't have any plans, go check out their live music, and of course, the Bay Scallop crudo, because after watching this video, you know exactly where those scallops came from.